Hi, this is Terry Brock. Hey, I wanted to give you this little introduction before we get into the video today with Diane DiResta. This is a fabulous interview you really want to watch. You want to get some notes ready to go on paper and pen or your note-taking device of choice, whatever it is. Diane is an expert on communication, and this is so important in today's world to get ahead, to boost your career, and to build your business. If you're a solopreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to know that she really covered the gamut. I mean, we went all over the board on many different things, both offline and online, using video like Skype or Google Plus Hangout, Zoom, or whatever. This is really important, and you'll want to pay attention to this. Diane is an expert, and it's like you got her right here today. So this is a video you want to make sure you watch, and let us know what you think. You got my email address, terry@terrybrock.com, and you can send me also a note there on Twitter, @TerryBrock. That's TerryBrock. And let me know. And Diane DiResta is someone you really want to get to know. So watch this video interview with Diane DiResta on communication in today's workplace. Communication is one of the most important skills that you can have to further your career and to generate more sales. Today, it's more important than ever. And not only is it important when you're one-on-one with someone or in front of a group, you need to know how to do it in video. So today, we've got something that's going to help you enormously. I've got joining me from her offices in New York City, Diane DiResta. Diane, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
Hey, it is great to have you here. We're going to have some fun today because you are the expert. You know about this communication. You've helped people with so many areas like the uptalk. You've got things written about you on that and talking about so when people use that and other areas as well where we can improve our communication. So what do you say? We roll up our sleeves, get ready to go here, and we really rock and roll. You ready to go?
Do it. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Well, one of the things I want to talk about that you have discussed extensively is the thing of uptalk. And matter of fact, it is so important. You have even put together a screen. I'm going to share my screen with you. Those of you watching this, notice what we've got here. We're looking at a Google search that I did. And on this Google search, I have the word uptalk. I did uptalk, and look what popped up here. Number one was a definition of it, a manner of speaking in which declarative sentences are uttered, etc. But number two, Diane DiResta right there. And Diane, what is the title of this?
Does uptalk make you upchuck?
Wow, that is a powerful thing. Well, we're going to click on this right here. And when I do, it goes over here. And now watch this. Well, first we got, of course, get the requisite advertisement that's going to be there. And then we're going to skip past that. There we go. And now we hear this. Diane, let's join you for a little bit of this. Okay, and you go on with that quite a bit. And so this is very good. And by the way, those of you watching, look at this. 69,993 views. And by the way, in preparing for this, I went out and looked at it. That is 9 more than we had just a few minutes ago. So those of you watching this, come on, let's help out on this. We want to push it over 70,000. But Diane, tell us about uptalk, what it is, and why we need to be aware of avoiding that.
Well, the reason it's 69,000 is because it literally makes people upchuck. It's like nails on a chalkboard. And what uptalk is a rising inflection. It sounds like I'm asking a question. I'm really making a statement. Now imagine if you're in the workplace, if you're trying to sell, if you're trying to convince, send a proposal, propose an idea, if you're interviewing for a job, any of those things will come back to bite you because you're not sounding like you have conviction. So very simply put, in American intonation, American English, when your voice comes down at the end of a sentence, that's a declaration. And when it goes up, that's a question. So think about the words versus the tone. The real meaning, the meta meaning or the meta language is in the tone. So if I say, I'm not angry, what's the message? It's not the words. So when you say, this is a good idea, what you're really saying is, I'm not sure.
Ooh, now that's important.
Yeah, that may not be the case. That may not be your reality, but that is the perception. And that is where communication breaks down.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point there, that it's not so much, we might feel, oh, it's normal, and my friends talk like this, and we always end the uptalk that way. Well, yeah, you might do that with your friends, but when you're in a business environment, it becomes extraordinarily important, and people are thinking subconsciously, you really don't know what you're talking about. Exactly. And how is that perceived at, say, a distinguished boardroom level?
You're not going to find it in the boardroom, although I have to say we were having a conversation online and you corrected me on that. Do you want to tell your viewers what you told me?
Oh, well, you've mentioned that you don't hear it in the boardroom. And I thought, well, wait a minute, because for me, I'm constantly working with technology and I've been out in Silicon Valley and work with high-tech firms. Sometimes you do hear it at the boardroom in high-tech firms. But I think your point was very good that often you're going to go outside that, particularly in a startup. And many times in life, you're going to be in an environment where if you use uptalk, unconsciously or not, you're going to be perceived by someone who might be a little older or someone from a different culture as you don't really know what you're talking about. Would you agree with
I
that?
agree. I agree. Let me give you an example of that. About a year ago, I received an email from someone I had never met before. He had an angel investing company, and he said, I have a generation of millennials and they're up talking and it's driving me crazy. Can you do something? So I came in and I did a talk and I did some coaching. And he said, look, maybe if they're talking to young startup entrepreneurs, they can get away with it. But you cannot talk like that. You can't have up talk when you're talking to a 60-year-old investor. And he knew his business. So I often say to people, this will not serve you in the workplace. And I will bet the people in Silicon Alley or Valley, when they're pitching for business and they're in front of investors, I bet they've been coached not to use as much up talk.
Yeah, I think the key is you want to be able to relate to the audience in a favorable way, whoever that audience is.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires skill and it requires a knowledge. To me, it seems like, Diane, you sharing that really helps people to understand, ooh, I need to be aware of it, that I'm doing it, and then take conscious steps to watch it. Those of you that are watching this video, watch the YouTube video. Go out there to Google, do a Google on Uptalk, just the one word, as one word, UPTALK, Uptalk. You'll see Diane's video come up and watch that. It will help you in your career. So Diane, while we got you here, I want to go look at some other issues that we've talked about before, but they're really important to repeat. It seems that I love the way you say, so is the new. Tell me what you mean by that.
I actually wrote a blog post about it. I think I said there's a new in town because I was watching a network television interview and there was a scientist or a doctor on, and every sentence began with so. They'd ask him a question. How did you come up with this new technology? So, blah, 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 blah. And what is the ramification? So, and I was struck that even with adults, older boomers, they're all using so as a beginning. I'm working with a woman right now that I'm coaching, and she's at a director level. And I said, okay, stop. You started with so. And she's now aware of it. It's a filler. It's like and it doesn't serve you.
Yeah, I would agree. It's something that happens, and often we're not conscious of it. From a technical point of view, one thing I would encourage people to do is use a tool that can record you and give those presentations, talk, and make sure that if you have others around that they know you're recording it, but record yourself, talk naturally, and notice how many times you use those fillers like so and the uptalk and other characteristics. And Diane, while we've got you here, anything else that you see happening in our culture today, anything emerging that is going on?
Yes. Well, first of all, uptalk is more generational. You find it more with millennials. I find that you don't usually have it in the executive suite because you don't get to that level sounding tentative. The other things that are creeping in are vocal fry, and vocal fry is a very low register sound or pitch. They also call it croaking. And if you do this, that's vocal fry.
Ooh, it's tingling up and down my spine in a bad way.
And I hear it more with females. So it sounds like this. And so I went to the store and we had a great time. It's not effective. And one of the ways you can get out of that vocal fry pattern is to speak a little higher. It's a very relaxed sound. And what's happening, I'll put on my speech pathology hat right now, the vocal folds are very relaxed and there are air pockets or bubbles. And that's how you get that sound, that vibration. So that won't work against you. That will work against you. And the other thing I've discovered is that nasal sing-song sound that you find young women using. So, would you like to go for a smoothie? Hi, Terry. How are you doing?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
And again, it doesn't sound very authoritative. It doesn't sound confident. And here's what's interesting. This is what's really exciting to me right now. You know how people always would tell you, be confident, it's important to be confident. Now there's scientific evidence that confidence trumps competence. And that is why people who may not be as skilled as you get the job, because of the way they present themselves. So confidence trumps competence. So what is confidence? When I work with people, we break it down. They learn what confidence looks like, what confidence sounds like, and how to speak the language of confidence. So when you're thinking of how to speak with confidence, you don't want to have uptalk, that nasal sing-song, or vocal fry.
Yeah, very important that all of that makes sense, and that we are able to, first of all, be aware of it. And then as we're aware of it, we can say, okay, this is really important, and I communicate much better that way. Diane, I know you help people a lot with that, and you're able to coach people on how to use this and make it better for what they're doing. What's a good way for people to get in touch with you if they have some questions or want to get help on this?
Go to my website, diresta.com. That's DIRESTA.com. You can also visit my YouTube channel, which is simply youtube.com/Diane Diresta.
Excellent. Well, now I want to also, while we got you here, talk about a very important area, and that is what we're doing right now. Matter of fact, for those of you watching, we are using a tool called Zoom, and this is one of the first times that Diane has been on there. Diane, what do you think of Zoom so far?
I love it. I'm going to be using this much more often.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I love what it can do.
It's a major tool that's out there right now and does a lot. And so if you're a content creator, you're a thought leader, an author, maybe a speaker or a coach, or you work with people, maybe you're a speech pathologist. This could be a really good tool to be able to listen to someone, to carry on a conversation, and to record it, and then to go back and say, notice when you said this, there was that vocal fry, or Ryan, you do it much better than I do, but the vocal fry, or the ums and the ers and the ahs and the so. And I think the only thing worse, by the way, than so is the multisyllabic so. It's about 5 syllables, so, as they get started. Yeah. So I know you help people with this, but I want to ask you now about some of the features and some of the items we need to be aware of when we're working with video, when we're doing conferencing with Zoom, with Skype, Google Plus Hangouts, and other tools like that. What do you see are some that we need to be aware of?
Well, first of all, video is hot. It is going to continue to be used more frequently. So if you're an employee, you're going to be doing webcasts, you're going to be doing video conferencing. If you work for yourself, or if you're an entrepreneur, this is one of the best marketing tools because it increases your reach. And for people who are working in a company, it's a great way to get more visibility. What the mistake people make is they treat it as a live presentation, and there's some differences with video. The first thing is your mistakes are recorded, and when you're live, it slips by and people forget, they're on to the next thing. So you really want to be very prepared. The second thing is to realize that video or TV is an energy drain. And what I mean by that is whenever you're live, there's this etheric energy exchange. You can feel it. That doesn't come across on a screen. And what it does, because it's two-dimensional, is it flattens you out. So you really have to pump up your energy a little bit more than normally. So that's one of the things. And the biggest mistake is to be boring. And that's why it's been very interesting. If people are watching what you do, you're very skilled at this, Terry. You've been interspersing the website and other ideas, articles, because people need changes in their attention span.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. It's important. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I'm doing, those that are watching this, you'll see that we jump back and forth between a full screen and then us side by side. And that's just a little click of the button here on Zoom. But the key is, as Diane says, make sure that you vary it. You want to go back and forth. You want to see some other options. One way to do that, also we're not doing right now, is using a PowerPoint or keynote presentation where you can have your video in the upper corner and then you go through the slides. That's a very helpful technique to use that keeps attention, because the worst thing would be one person on the screen. Here, let me click on this. Here we go. Okay, one person on the screen talking like this all the time in a monotone voice, reading like that. Oh, and by the way, that can happen when you use a teleprompter. I
Yes.
don't know about you watching this, but for me, it seems like inevitably when I get a teleprompter, I'm looking at it like this and I start sounding monotone and sounding like that. And my eyes are darting back and forth, etc. through that. Not a good thing to do. I found that it's much better, for me anyway, can't speak for everyone, for me, have some bullet points, and that tends to help me. Diane, what are your thoughts on that with teleprompter, and what do we need to be aware of?
There are some times when you absolutely must use a teleprompter, but that is another skill that takes a lot of practice. For
You're right.
most of us, I'd say avoid it. Have fun and have a conversation. And I always tell people, don't memorize, familiarize. So to your point, Terry, have bullet points, know your messages, and then talk from your knowledge base. And if you forget something, so what? They don't know. But
Yes.
you mentioned something about eyes. This is key, and this is one of the skills that are even more critical on video, where to look. Now, I'm looking directly at you, but that's because I'm looking at the webcam. If I look down at the screen, do you see a difference?
Oh, yeah, big
Yeah.
difference.
And this is where people look. So when you're interviewed on video, you want to be looking directly at the webcam when you're speaking to the interviewer. Now, the other issue with this is you want to test it, because just recently I was looking at the webcam and the person interviewing me said, well, no, actually, when you look down, it's actually better. So test it out first, but most times you need to look at the webcam. That means I can't really see your eyes, Terry, but I know you're there.
That's a very good point. I'm looking right now into my webcam. I've got a webcam on top of my MacBook Pro. For those of you watching, we're going right behind. I mean, we're pulling the curtain out and going, here's what we're doing. We've got the webcam on top. I'm not using the built-in webcam on my MacBook Pro. It is good, but I like to have this one so that, by the way, when I'm doing programs, I can literally pick it up, turn it around and say, this is what Orlando, Florida looks like right now. We're getting ready for our required by law afternoon shower in the afternoon, which cools everything off, cleans the air, and makes it even more wonderful. But that's another thing. I like to use that because it gives me a little more capability. I would recommend that for those of you watching. If you're going to do professional videos, have a separate webcam. And audio is another area. Diane, you recently acquired something to make your audio even better. Tell us about what you just did.
Here it is. It's called the Yeti, and I got that because you asked me to, or you recommended that, Mike, and it's made such a difference. When I first started doing YouTube, I didn't know what I was doing, and I would get comments on the audio quality. And then as I learned more, I realized that the video isn't as critical. You don't have to have high definition, but your audio has to be good. And so you need really good microphones. You can talk so much more about that than I can because you're such a tech whiz. And also the lighting is important. Would you like to see my light?
Yes, we would. Matter of fact, show us your light. Here we go. We're getting really close and intimate here. There it is. And those of you watching this, you can see, yep, there's the light.
So very low tech. It doesn't cost a lot of money. You clip it onto some kind of desk, and then you have better lighting.
Yeah, that's a very important thing. Now, of course, if you're really into video production, you'll think, oh, you can't use a light like that. Well, they can work okay. Now, would it be better to have the professional lights kind of that grown-ups use, you know, over here and there and all that, the three-point lighting, all that? Yeah, that would be, but you don't always have to have that. I'm using just the natural light of windows here, even on a cloudy day in Orlando. At night, it's been lately in Orlando, it's been getting dark at night. It's amazing. And so what I do is I use some halogen light lamps that are up there. So when I do webcams, often I do these to Australia. Well, it's dark here, but it's daytime over there. And so I'll make sure that I switch that. And the audio, going back to that, very important, because when you don't have it, you sound really bad. I'm using a Yeti microphone also. Here it is. You can see it right here. Notice how I positioned it right below the view that you have, because notice what my voice sounds like when I come back here.
Oh yeah, there's an echo.
On this. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm way back there. And that's what it sounds like when many people use the internal microphone on your laptop or your desktop computer. So make sure we use that. Now, Diane, anything else we need to be aware of, maybe on the soft skill side or a hard skill that you are aware of and that you would recommend when someone's going into the world of video using Zoom like we are, or Skype, Google Hangout, or some other tool?
Well, I was recently interviewed on this whole area of video presentations, and one of the things is you need to prepare in advance because of the technology. You know very well, an hour before, my assistant was here fixing up the microphone. First, we didn't have sound. So
Kelly did a good job, and hello, Kelly. Hope you're doing well as you watch this.
Yes, she did an excellent job. So you need to be able to do those tests before you actually start out. The other thing is, we haven't talked about dress, backdrop, and color, and it's really critical. Let me tell you something that happened to me years ago. This was when they were still using VHS tape. I was doing a promotional video, a showcase, and I asked the question, I'm wearing a fuchsia colored dress. It was something like this color. Will that televise well? And the man said, oh yeah, sure. Well, I asked the wrong question. What I should have asked was, what color is the backdrop? Because when I arrived, it was an orange curtain, and you could see the fuchsia and the orange bleeding into each other. It looked terrible. Another situation, I asked a client, I was going to be on a stage. I said, what color is the backdrop? Oh, I don't remember. So I brought with me a gray suit and a black suit. So that morning I got up early, I put on my black suit, I go to the band shell, and it's all black.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily, I was able to go back and change into the gray, because otherwise I would have looked like a mime.
Yeah, exactly. Even I know that, and I'm not into colors. I mean, I'm not the guy you want to ask about color, but really, you got to have, I like the way, though, you brought a choice, a gray and a black suit. Good.
Yeah, so be aware of those kinds of things. And if you're ever on regular television, there are certain colors that televise well. You can't go wrong with blue. Blue televises beautifully. You want to be careful of white, because oh yes, you're wearing.
I have my blue shirt on. There we go. Yes.
Also, red tends to be muddy. It bleeds sometimes. White reflects the light. So you want to have an off-white, a cream, or even a pearl gray, and that will televise as white. Black also can look a little muddy. There are some exceptions, but those are colors to be aware of when you're out there. And of course, don't wear any large patterns, because you'll look like a TV test pattern. You don't want anything that's going to confuse the eye.
Yeah, very good points. I like that. And I also like what you said about putting whatever is in the background. We got to be careful of that. We're seeing your office right now, and this is appropriate. Those of you watching this, think about it when you're doing your own videos. Diane is in her office. You see it clearly. It looks like those are your degrees over there, over your right shoulder. So that's a very good thing to have.
And that's my book cover, Knockout Presentations, in the background.
Okay, and that's not coming through as well. It might be because of some other things. Let me go over here to the gallery view. We don't see that as well on there, but that's okay. These are things that are very important. I remember, I think I was telling you, Diane, a while back when I was doing interviews for Skype. When I worked for Skype as their chief enterprise blogger, I do a lot of video interviews using Skype, of course, and we would get down to it. We'd put everything together, test the audio, we'd test the lighting, we knew what we were going to cover. We get ready to record, and then I'd look and I go, oh, wait a minute, is that picture over your left shoulder the one you really want the whole world to see? And they look and they go, oh, no, I don't want that, and so they're reaching over and pulling it down, and realize we don't have to deal with this when you're on the phone. When you're just on the phone talking, you really don't care what.
Exactly.
But now it's different.
Yeah, and even my door, sometimes I'd have a code on the back of the door, and then I'd do a YouTube video and say, oh, no, I didn't realize that was there, and I'd have to record again. So clean up the environment, take a test shot, and make sure nothing is coming through that you don't want to come through.
Yeah, these are important points on the soft skills side and on the technical side that are going to be important for communicating in person, to one-on-one, to a small group, to a large group, as well as the very important area now of working with people through video. That is emerging stronger and stronger all the time. One thing we haven't even talked about, we might have to do in the future, Diane, is Periscope. And what it is doing as it's live communication, and video is now becoming not just a nicety, it's become an integral part of business. So anything else that you would want to add, Diane?
Well, I want to say about Periscope, I was so grateful because I had to leave the National Speakers Convention early, and friends were using Periscope to do little segments. So I got to see some of the keynotes, and I was so grateful for that. So the tools are amazing, but they're only as good as you are. So it behooves all of us to really learn how to use skills. And the one thing about video is to remember that you're talking to a person. So don't get involved in the technology and be a talking head, but have a conversation with people and just be who you are. Have fun with it. Be light.
I like that. Have fun with it and be light. Well, Diane, you help people a lot on this, and we're not going to let you get away without giving us your contact information again. So if someone says, hey, I want to learn about this, Diane can help you. She is doing this regularly, professionally, on a basis. Matter of fact, I am going to, before I even let you go, I'm going to share the screen again here, because I got a little something I want to share with everyone here to let you see what this young lady is doing. As she puts things together, she is sharing in a number of different venues, helping people. I'm cycling through here to an article. Here it is. There was investors.com just recently. Presenting on camera requires a specific skill set. They were citing a person named Ruth Sherman and also Diane DiResta. Diane, you talked about the key to success in video presentations is good storytelling. She said, if your presentation is boring, the viewer will click off instantly, and a whole bunch of things there. Here's what I would recommend as you go and take a look at that. It's in Investors Business Daily, and it's an article dated June the 3rd, here from 2015, June the 3rd, 2015 at 2:17 p.m. Eastern time, to be specific on that. But very important things. Diane is a person who can help you. Get in touch, and she can do it. Diane, do you do consulting now over Skype or Zoom, like that?
I do. I have done that over Skype, absolutely. And it works really well.
Yeah, so wherever you are, you might think, well, gee, I'm up here in outer nowhere, Outers Labuvia. Well, that's okay. As long as you have good internet connection in Outers Labuvia, you're okay. Diane can help you.
The world is open.
And also her offices are there in New York, and you just want to get in touch with her. Diane, what's the best way for them to reach you?
DiResta.com, DIRESTA.com. And you can also find that article on my website as well.
Okay, very good. Well, Diane, always a pleasure to talk with you. Always really informative. I learn a lot every time and got to practice these. Even though I've been communicating for many years, I find I learn more every time I talk with you. Diane, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, and I'm Terry Brock. Thank you very much for being with us and joining us on this ideas and information to learn to take your career and go even further. I'm at terrybrock.com for email, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.